Hank Hanegraaff.
Thank you very much, Randy. And right back to our phone callers. Next up is Jeffrey, listening in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, listening on KARI. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hi, Hank. I have a question. When Jesus Christ said, "Forgive others and you will be forgiven yourself," was that a black and white statement, or does it describe what was to come with the Holy Spirit and how a believer would actually behave as it relates to forgiveness?
Well, I think the latter. I think that we are called to recognize that we are offered objectively forgiveness by God, but that objective offer is only subjectively realized when we embrace that forgiveness. So forgiveness is always a two-way street, not only so between God and man, but also between humans and their fellow humans. So what we see with forgiveness is that there always has to be someone who is willing to forgive and someone who is wanting to be forgiven. And when both parties are involved in that fashion, then true reconciliation can take place.
Okay, I have one more question. I heard a few weeks ago on the radio that you said there's no such thing as ghosts according to the Bible. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, I want to draw your attention to Luke 24:37, where the disciples state when Jesus appears to them, they were startled and frightened, thinking they saw a ghost. And then Jesus responds in Luke 24:39, "Touch me and see. A ghost does not have flesh and bones as you see I have."
Right. I'm familiar with that passage.
What is the word ghost referring to?
Well, it's referring to the superstition that the disciples have embraced. And
but
Jesus Christ has
negated that?
Well, he did.
But he actually makes a statement about what a ghost is not, right? He's saying a ghost does not have flesh or bones. He could have said there's no such thing as ghosts.
Well, there is a sense in which what happens in the present, if you die, you're absent from the body, present with the Lord. But the point there is not that there aren't real spirits that continue to have conscious awareness. It's just that those spirits do not inhabit this realm. And that's the issue. That's why we say there's no such thing as ghosts or poltergeists. It's not that there isn't such a thing objectively as the non-corporeal aspect of humanity. It simply cannot invade this time-space continuum. But a lot of people thought that it could or labored under that superstition. And what Jesus is simply pointing out is that even if this were a spirit that came from the netherworld, that spirit would not have flesh and bone as they could very obviously see that he had.
Okay, so one final point. If there is paranormal activity, would you say it can only be attributed to demons?
Well, no. There's such a thing as fallen angels as opposed to angels that are not fallen. And certainly we see angels from a biblical perspective being involved in a real-time space continuum and interacting in some sense with human beings.
Okay, thank you very much, Hank.
You got it. Thank you so much for your call. By the way, one of the points that I've made on the Bible Answer Man broadcast from time to time is that demons cannot take on physical form. And the reason I make that point is for the very passage that was just now underscored. If a demon could take on flesh and bone, then Christ's argument would have been negated. And if Christ's argument was negated, then Christ wouldn't have been divine, because no divine being would have an argument or communicate an argument that you can poke full of holes. The reality is this: demons do not have creative power. Angels, however, by God's prerogative, can take on form, and therefore in the Old Testament we see such things as angelophanies.